Hi, I'm Alex Wiedinghoff here on the white sands of beautiful Veradero, Cuba. Stay tuned for some important tips for your travel to Cuba. Alright, so tip number one, first thing you want to do when you get off the plane at the airport after picking up your luggage is change your currency for the Cuban currency, the peso. This is the best time to do it because later on at the banks or at the hotel or resort there might be a small fee and you want to have that money right away. I usually bring about $300 and that can cover me for the week. The other thing is, there used to be a fee that you'd have to hold on to, a 25 peso fee, in order to leave the country. As of May 1st, 2015, this fee is no longer in effect, so you don't have to worry about that. When you get to the resort, you want to make sure that you get a safe with your room. It might be included in the price of the resort or you might have to pay a little bit extra, but it's really important that you have a safe place to store all your valuables while you're out swimming or checking out your local town. Now one thing that you really want to do is leave the resort and go on an excursion, whether it's an official one with your airline or just an unofficial one by renting a moped and driving around the island. So as you can tell, I'm pretty hot, sweaty, and thirsty, so when you come to Cuba, you need to bring a lot of water. Just one thing, you probably shouldn't drink the tap water unless you feel like getting really sick. So any chance you get in your convenience store, stock up on bottled water and fill your own supply. Now, that's gonna sting in the morning. This should have been tip number one. Bring and wear a lot of sunscreen. Aim for at least SPF 45 and apply it constantly. If you go for a swim, you better put it back on right after. If you go for a run and you just sweat it all off, you have to put it back on again. Don't worry, you're still gonna get your vacation tan, but you really don't want to deal with the pain, the redness, and skin cancer down the road from getting a burn. This tip might seem obvious, but you're going to want to bring more than one pair of swim trunks or bathing suits because even if you're a guy, when you go out there and you get your swim trunk or swimsuit wet and you come back in and you change and you want to go back out in the water pretty soon, it's no fun to put on a damp pair of swim trunks or a swimsuit. Also, you want to bring your own beach towel. Even though the hotels have their own, they're a little small, so it's good to have an extra big one for when you're on the beach. Alright, so one important thing to know when you're traveling to Cuba is that you can haggle or barter for a lot of the goods in the different marketplaces, like this one behind me. Let's say something costs 8 pesos, you can offer 5. Usually you want to stay a little bit above half the price, but it's really important to try to do that because you'll save money and it's kind of fun. If you're from the East Coast like myself and you're way too polite, it's time to get over that. This next tip is an obvious one. It's about tipping. In Cuba, a lot of the people that interact with you are operating on the desire to get tips. But the reality is that there isn't really that many people that you'll need to tip. For example, when you first get to the resort, someone's going to take your luggage and bring it to your room. Something you could easily do yourself. They're going to want to tip. You really don't need to tip them. They're just doing the job that they're being paid to do, and you're not going to see them for the rest of the week. You want to save your money for going on excursions, buying food at the restaurants in the town, and tipping people that you actually will be interacting with, like the maid and the bartender. You want good, frequent service from them, The other thing that we should talk about is gift giving. A lot of people want to bring gifts like clothes, toys, pens to give to the hotel staff or to locals. But the reality is that Cuba is a socialist country and everyone is given government subsidized housing, so they're really not as poor as some people would have you believe. If you really want to bring a gift, do some research beforehand and make that decision on your own. Most of the resorts that you'll be staying at have nicer restaurants you can eat at in addition to the buffet halls. You usually have to make a reservation first thing in the morning, and you have to wear nicer clothing, so no sandals, skirts, bathing suits, or anything like that. It's also good to check out the local restaurants in the town because the food's pretty cheap and it's authentic Cuban cuisine. Follow these tips and you will have an awesome time in Cuba. I've put a checklist in the description below for you to print out and make sure you bring along all the important items that you need. Have a great trip.